Welcome to FINA Aquatics World. In this month's program, we'll sit down with Spain's Olympic medalist Maria Belmont. We cover the swimming Grand Prix from the U.S. in Mesa, Arizona. And we follow all the action from the FINA Medea Diving World Series. In our last show, we watched how the 2013 edition of the FINA Medea Diving World Series kicked off in Beijing and Dubai with several Chinese victories. Now the turn had come for Great Britain and Edinburgh to play host for a top-class diving event. The main attraction in the Royal Commonwealth Pool was, of course, the men's 10-meter platform final, where local hero Tom Daley was taking on a fierce international field. But we start off with the women and the 10-meter platform events. China's superstar Chen Rulen was absent, but her replacements didn't disappoint. In the synchro final, 14-year-old Si Jiajie and 15-year-old Liu Huijie stood in a league of their own.
Yes, and the Chinese pair make this dive look so easy compared to the rest of the divers in the field.
338.64, the total score for these two youngsters who took a convincing victory in their World Series debut. The duo then turned focus to the individual event where they secured a Chinese double, and it was Si who impressed the most.
Fantastic. You won't see much better than that.
Si dominated completely, winning with more than 30 points down to compatriot Liu Huijie in second and Mexico's Alejandra Orozco in third. 405.60, the final score for Si, who claimed her second World Series title. The question is if she can even challenge Chen Rulen given the opportunity. The 3-meter final saw one big favorite beforehand in He Zi, but she got a tough challenge from the 2011 world champion in the 1-meter springboard, Shi Ting Mao.
Beautiful dive. 2.5 somersaults in pike position. It's almost perfection. Goes in with very little splash.
He Zi, of course. And she will go with this back 2.5 somersaults with pike.
Beautiful aerial work through the air. The pike shape is phenomenal.
He managed to fend off the opposition and secure the title, but only by 1.65 points margin to Shi. Olena Fedorova of the Ukraine finished third. On to the men's events and the 3-meter springboard final, where China's He Chang battled Ukraine's Ilya Kvasha for the top spot. Kvasha had defeated He for the first time in Dubai, and now he took a firm grip of the final in the second round, with this forward 4.5 somersault tucked.
And he does get it right. An excellent dive from the Ukraine diver. It is a huge dive, difficulty of 3.8. See if you can count the somersaults.
Kvasha was awarded 93.1 points for that dive, and the pressure was on He. In the fourth round, the Chinese Olympic and world champion made a mistake with his inward 3.5 somersault tucked.
And is he buckling too? You can see he's not happy in the water.
Only 66.3 points for that dive, and He was far behind his rival. Kvasha could finish the competition in a comfortable lead.
Such a good performance, strong performance, and we hope it's good enough to beat those Chinese.
Another impressive display by Kvasha, who secured his second straight World Series title with a total score of 516.45 points here in Edinburgh. He Chang got the silver, and Germany's Patrick Hausting took third. Finally, we zoom in on the men's 10-meter platform and British diving's golden boy Tom Daley. No Chinese opposition on offer, but still a top-quality field, including Pan American champion Ivan Garcia and European Championship silver medalist Victor Minibaev. Garcia and Minibaev took turns leading the competition in the early rounds, but in the third, Daley showed his class.
And that's what was needed. The crowd going mad here in the Edinburgh pool.
102.6, the score for Daley, who took a comfortable lead in the final with that impressive dive. Garcia had to settle for third place in the end, finishing off his final series with this dive.
Only the Mexicans attempt this dive. A very good effort indeed.
The runner-up spot went to Minibaev, who produced his best dive in the last round.
It's a fantastic effort. He hasn't given up on that gold medal yet. We do have to wait to see what Tom can produce, but he could not have done any better than that, the Russian.
97.2, the score for Minibaev, who ended up 4.55 points behind the popular home victor, Tom Daley.
And I think he's done it. A fantastic final dive, and this is exactly why he leaves this dive last. He can do it under pressure.
542.15, the total score for Daley. And the 2012 World Series winner in the event showed that he is looking strong ahead of the FINA World Championships in Barcelona later this year. We'll return to the diving world later on in the show as Moscow plays host for the fourth stop on the FINA Medea Diving World Series. Now we travel south to Spain to meet up with an Olympic medalist.
At 22 years of age, Spain's Maria Belmont is already the country's most successful Olympian ever in her sport. Having won 2 silver medals at the London Olympic Games in 2012, clinching both the 200-meter butterfly and 800-meter freestyle second place, Belmonte put her name in the history books. Having also won gold medals in both World and European Championships, she's without a doubt Spain's most talented and successful swimmer at the moment. Looking back, Belmonte remembers how it all began for her at an early age.
Let me think. When I was 4, I started swimming, but it was mostly for having fun with my friends. But at the same time, I was fond of swimming, and I liked the aquatic environment. Later on, you're trying your best, starting to compete little by little, and finally, when you're 12, the training opportunities in Barcelona is open for you, and you're getting used to it and take it a bit more seriously.
In order to be successful as a swimmer, you need to be well prepared both physically and mentally. The amount of time spent training in the pool is necessary to improve your results, and for this, a large amount of willpower is also needed. Mireia Belmonte believes it is her refusal to give up that makes her a strong swimmer, as she definitely wants to focus more on her strengths rather than her weaknesses.
As for my advantages, well, I'm consistent enough, and also I'm a fighter. As for my weaknesses, let me think. I'm sure I have some, but it's difficult to remember it right now. Undoubtedly, I have more strength than weaknesses.
Spain hasn't been blessed with a wealth of swimming talent as it has in sports like basketball and football. Mireia Belmonte, however, is an exception as she has a very bright future ahead of her. The FINA World Championships in Barcelona are also just around the corner, and the opportunity to compete in front of a home crowd. The talented Spanish swimmer has her goals and targets set for the competition.
It's going to be a very difficult task. I will aim for 6 different events, and I will do my best to reach the final in each one of them. It's very tough, and all the best swimmers will be there, so you just have to fight. And it will not be easier just because it's on home soil.
Swimming is an individual sport, and often you have to rely on yourself rather than on teammates to achieve results. This can sometimes prove difficult for swimmers mentally, as they have only themselves to blame if they don't perform well. As a professional swimmer, a lot of time is spent fine-tuning your race and less on interacting with other competitors. According to Belmont, it is a part of the sport you have to accept and embrace if you want to succeed.
You know, the main thing is that everyone has his or her set place. And if you have been working hard, you will get a good mark, and if not, well, it's not so good. Besides, this type of sport is so rough, because you can't have any conversation with anybody. It's simple, for example, it's just like you're alone in the street, and that can be really complicated for you. But despite that, people keep on going.
Having already won 2 silver medals at the Olympic Games in London, Mireia Belmonte is of course keen on winning gold. Even though Rio 2016 is a long way ahead, it remains a realistic target for her going forward. The question is what her goals are for the immediate and long-term future.
We still have some time. I believe that the World Aquatic Championships will be a good test for Rio. For myself, I especially have to see if I'm fit ahead of the Olympic season and what sorts of results I'm able to achieve at the next World Championships.
So, despite what Mireia Belmonte does in the future, she will already be remembered as one of the great swimmers in her native country. Even though she has won many medals and accolades to date, the talented Spaniard will surely continue to entertain and impress crowds all around the world going forward.
Coming up after the break, we bring you more diving action as we cover the Moscow stop of the FINA Diving World Series. And we give you all the highlights from the Swimming Grand Prix from the U.S. in Mesa, Arizona. Welcome back. In part 2 of FINA Aquatics World, we travel to the USA for the Swimming Grand Prix in Mesa, Arizona. But first, we visit Moscow for the 4th stop of the FINA Diving World Series. Following the Edinburgh stop of the FINA Diving World Series, the time had come for Moscow and the Olympic swimming pool to provide the backdrop for the 4th stop of the series. In Edinburgh, we saw Shi Tingmao mount a serious challenge to He Zi in the 3-meter springboard final. In Moscow, she took it even further, taking the lead from round 1 and managing to fend off her more merited compatriot with ease. Going into the final round, He was trailing by 23.1 points.
Next up is Chinese He Zi. Good spring from the board. sure the judges would like that one. Shi Ting Mao, another Chinese diver. Again, replicating her teammate, solid diving again.
Victory for Shi, amassing a total of 376.05 points, while He had to settle for second place. Shi Ting Mao also replaced He in the 3-meter synchro competition, teaming up with 4-time Olympic gold medalist Wu Mingjia. The Chinese pairing had no problem securing that title.
Time for the Chinese duo in the 3 meters synchro. Impressive stuff again. Hit the water as one. Wonderful diving at its best.
Another Chinese youngster who presented herself in Edinburgh was 10-meter platform ace Si Yahye. The 14-year-old sensation claimed a double victory last time around, and she didn't want to do any less here in Moscow. The synchro title, together with Liu Huijia, took some fighting following a poor dive in the second round, but the duo got their act together and scored 78 plus in the 2 final rounds. Si then switched to the individual competition, where she took on 4-time Olympic and world champion Chen Rulen, who did not participate in Edinburgh. Chen took the early command and extended her lead in the second round.
Shemralin, the red-hot favourite once again. Beautiful dive. You wouldn't expect anything else.
88 points for Chen, who had opened up a gap of more than 10 points down to Si after 3 rounds. In the 4th round, Si replied.
Oh, again. Put in the pressure on her teammate with a wonderful dive.
Si scored 84.15 points for that dive and was all of a sudden only trailing her distinguished teammate by a single point. So which diver would be able to stand the pressure best in the final round?
Si in second place, needs a solid dive and gets it. Could well go to the top of the leaderboard with that dive. Shemralin under pressure and nails it. What a competition. Wonderful dive again.
14-year-old Si Jiajie managed to overtake her vastly merited compatriot in the final round, showing nerves of steel to take her 2nd straight World Series title. Is this a change in power in the women's 10-meter platform, or will Chen be able to retake her crown? Over to the men's finals and more Chinese success. In the men's 3-meter springboard, He Chang avenged his defeat in Edinburgh by taking a commanding victory in the Moscow Olympic swimming pool.
He Chang, the current leader, the 3-meter springboard. Oh, he tucked himself in beautifully. Wouldn't expect anything else from this man.
102.6, the score there in the 4th round for He, who totaled 553.85 to win with more than 10 points ahead of FINA World Championship bronze medalist Evgeny Kuznetsov. The 10-meter platform final witnessed some sensational diving, but the top 3 positions were already set going into the final round. Chen Aisen, with 2 runner-up spots earlier in the series, had to settle for 3rd place this time around.
He's in 3rd, and he should stay in 3rd with that dive.
Aisen scored 91.8 for his final dive of the meet. Russia's Viktor Minibaev hadn't missed the podium in any of the 3 previous World Series competitions, and he continued that streak in Moscow with a 2nd place finish. His final dive was awarded 83.85 points.
And that's why he's in 2nd place. Another solid performance and another good day at the office.
But the victor was undisputed. Lin Yue took the lead in the opening round and extended his lead throughout the competition.
Lin Yue. Another comfortable dive. What a performer this man is.
90 points flat for that effort in the final round, which was actually his weakest score of the final. Lynn took his third World Series title in 3 attempts with a total score of 565.25 points. That rounds off our coverage from Moscow. The FINA Medea Diving World Series continues with 2 more stops, and we'll be back in our next show with all the action. Time now to shift focus to swimming.
Now it's time to pay a visit to the 4th stop in the Arena Grand Prix Series that took place in Arizona. And starting with the women's 100-meter freestyle and a hotshot lineup of world talent, featuring Missy Franklin swimming for Colorado Stars, Katinka Hosso, Jessica Hardy wearing Trojan Swimming Club's colors, and Natalie Coughlin from California Aquatics.
And they hit the wall, and it is Coughlin. Coughlin 25.96, which is a very fast split. Coughlin in lane 4 has taken the lead. And it appears as though Katina Hazu from Hungary in lane number 5 is now in second, at least battling Missy Franklin for second. Franklin is a strong finisher, and here she comes. Missy Franklin trying to overtake Natalie Coughlin, and it looks as though she's going to. Coughlin out very, very fast. Ties up at the end, and it's Missy Franklin, and Katina Hazu takes second.
Victory for Missy Franklin, who secured her first win of the day with a time of 54.27. A good time considering it's still early on in the season. Franklin beat Katinka Hosso, Natalie Coughlin and Jessica Hardy, who all performed better in the preliminaries. Now let's have a look at the men's 100-meter freestyle. Olympic champion Nathan Adrian of California Aquatics was the natural favorite going into this one. And for company, he had, among others, Darian Townsend of Longhorn Aquatics and Richard Barron swimming for Tucson. Ryan Lochte missed out on the final but won the B final, where he swam a time of 50.98, a pattern that would repeat itself later on.
And it is Nathan Adrian in lane number 4 is leading at the 50, and he continues to lead. Anthony Irvin in lane number 7 appears to be in second. They've got about 25 meters to go. And look at Nathan Adrian as he looks stronger as he gets closer to the finish. Ricky Barron's closing just a little bit, but it's going to be Nathan Adrian touching first in 48.42. Ricky Barron second. Good time for this part of the season.
Olympic champion Nathan Adrian was the fastest man in the pool today and finished with a winning time of 48.42. It was a strong field in which 4 swimmers dipped under 50 seconds. Brisha Larson was fastest in the preliminaries in the women's 200-meter breaststroke. In the final, she met Caitlin Freeman swimming for Santa Barbara Swim Club, Aaliyah Atkinson from South Florida Aquatic Club, and Caitlin Leverance, a member of California Aquatics.
Larson and Leverance, lane 4 and lane 5. Larson now picking up her tempo as she increases her turnover and takes the lead, regains the lead that she lost after the first 50. Brisha Larson finishing very, very quickly to the delight of the hometown crowd. Larson, with 5 meters to go, is going to win it as she turns it on the final 50 and touches first in 2:28.03, nearly a second faster than she swam this morning, and she looked very good and got to be happy with that swim.
After an impressive finish, Brisha Larson won with a time of 2:28.03, almost a second better than what she achieved in the heats. In the 400-meter freestyle for women, Kathleen Ledecky, swimming for Nation's Capital Swim Club, had shown some great speed in the preliminaries. She was therefore the favorite going into the final.
Ledecky turning home, and she has got plenty left as she continues to build her lead, which is now 10 meters at least over the second place swimmer Katina Hazu. Katie Ledecky finishing very, very strongly. 4:04.3 is her personal best. Again, she's not going to get that, but she could get pretty close. Katie Ledecky finishing very, very strongly in 4:05.21. That is a very, very fast time, the fastest time in the world this year for Katie Ledecky.
Nadecki crushed the competition as she won by almost 20 metres and a top time of 4:05.21, which is the fastest in the world this year. A victory she will no doubt feel very satisfied with. Moving on to the women's 100-metre butterfly, where Claire Donahue, Katinka Hosu, Dana Volmer and Kelsey Worrell competed for the victory, in a race that offered a little intrigue.
Volmer is not looking good. I don't think anybody's going to catch Claire Donahue in lane number 6. Donahue in lane number 6. Here comes Hazu in lane number 5. And Dana Volmer just does not have it tonight. Oh my goodness, it is. Kelsey Worrell finishes, comes out of nowhere to win in 59.48. Worrell takes first.
After Worrell was disqualified for going underwater for more than 15 metres, Olympic gold medalist Claire Donahue was declared the winner of the race in a time of 59.58. Meanwhile, in the men's 100-metre butterfly, Ryan Lochte was missing from the starting field once again.
Great underwater, great turn by Shields in lane number 5. Shields now has opened up about a half a body length lead. Shields in 5, Eugene Gazzo in 6, and Marcin Tarzinski in 4, battling for second. Shields trying to hang on, but here comes lane number 6, Eugene Gazzo finishing fast, and Tarzinski coming in. And it is Tarzinski finishing from lane 4, the fastest qualifier, finishes first, out-touching Tom Shields.
Victory for Marcin Tarzinski with a time of 52.83. Ryan Lochte ended up in a disappointing 9th position after just missing out on the final. That's all from the USA Swimming Grand Prix in Mesa. The tour continues in Charlotte, North Carolina, before finishing off in Santa Clara, California.
That's it for this episode. We'll be back in a month's time with more aquatics action. Until then, thanks for watching and bye for now.